Aaron Spitzner.
It gives me no joy to report this, ladies and gentlemen, but left-wing violence and political terrorism coming from America's left is now very clearly the greatest threat that we as a nation face. Today in Dallas, Texas, that nation was reminded of just how extreme a threat when ICE agents were targeted at a facility there. 2 people were killed, both of them apparently migrants, by a criminal suspect armed with a sniper rifle who literally wrote anti-ICE on his bullets and has apparently a long history of Antifa-linked left-wing extremism. This has been one of the worst months for political violence in recent memory, and all of it, with only one exception that I can see, is coming from the political left. Since the beginning of 2024, almost all of the political violence in this country has come from the political left. Since 2020, as far back as you want to go, leftist violence has been a massive issue. We will discuss that and much more on this, the Wednesday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. If you would like to join us, our phone number is 414-799-1130. You can also reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me directly, dod@iheartmedia.com. Follow me on social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. We are streaming live on all 3, plus our YouTube channel. Just search for Dan O'Donnell Show. Join Dan Nation and a lively conversation each and every day in the comments section. And please do subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio. Joe Rothrock, the FBI agent in charge of the Dallas FBI, confirmed in a press conference this afternoon that this morning's attack was motivated by anti-ICE sentiment.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence. It is unfortunately just the most recent example we've seen of targeted violence, to include here in North Texas, where back on July 4th, we saw a coordinated attack carried out against an immigration detention center in Alvarado, Texas. What I can also share with you is that early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature.
Now, where would this gunman, again, clearly a left-wing Antifa-aligned terrorist, get the idea that ICE is a fascist SS Gestapo-like organization? Probably from elected Democrats who have been saying just that since the start of deportation efforts by the Trump administration, really long before that. But the rhetoric has reached a fever pitch. All of these sound bites are just from the last couple of months.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
I called ICE the modern-day Gestapo.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo.
We're seeing aggressive Gestapo-type tactics.
When I see ICE, I see slave patrols.
We have ICE federal agents pulling up, terrorizing our communities, hopping out of unmarked vans, stealing and, yes, kidnapping people.
ICE is a terrorist organization. It needs to be defunded and needs to be abolished.
Every single one of those is an elected official. You heard Jasmine Crockett, Tim Walz. We also had Maxwell Frost, up and coming millennial or Generation Z, Democrat from Florida. You also had Delia Ramirez from Illinois in there, Seth Moulton. That guy shouting is a congressman by the name of John Anderson, who is from Connecticut. Just last night, literally last night, the titular head of the Democratic Party, the man who desperately is positioning himself to be the party's next presidential nominee in 2028, California's Governor Gavin Newsom, was demonizing ICE in a national TV appearance.
I'm deeply proud that I had the privilege of signing the nation's first bill to address the issue of masking, also to require you have simple identification, to your point. I mean, if some guy jumped out of an unmarked car in a van with a mask on, tried to grab me, I mean, by definition, you're going to push back. And so these are not just authoritarian tendencies. These are authoritarian actions by an authoritarian government.
And once again, the question needs to be asked. If this is an authoritarian government, if ICE are the masked Gestapo, SS, terrorists, kidnappers, human traffickers, all quotes by Democrats just from the last couple of months, what would you do to resist that authoritarianism? If you are a far left psychopath, you take matters into your own hands. Folks, this stuff does not happen in a vacuum. And by the way, to Newsom's point, there is no chance ICE agents will or should unmask themselves, because clearly they are targets for violence, for doxing, for all manner of harassment, and yes, potential murder by an increasingly radicalized left who just since the beginning of this month, today is September 24th, we have had no fewer than 7 incidents of left-wing political terrorism. Today, a sniper shoots 3 people, killing 2 of them, targeting an ICE facility and ICE agents in Dallas. He left behind anti-ICE, quite literally written on his bullets. There is apparently a very long digital trail linking him to far left politics. You had a couple of days ago a deranged leftist shooting up an ABC affiliate station in Sacramento in protest of the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel, thinking that this was the authoritarian Trump administration forcing ABC to pull Kimmel off the air. Turns out it was just a little suspension. He left behind a long digital trail of, again, left-wing sentiments posted on social media. That same weekend, a man shouting "Free Palestine" shot and killed 1 man, injured several other people at a country club in Nashua, New Hampshire. Over the past couple of days, we saw similar ICE attacks in both Portland and Chicago. Antifa goons set upon ICE agents in Portland, Oregon, as well as Chicago during ongoing ICE operations. We also saw 2 men with anti-Trump signs in their yard trying to blow up a Fox News affiliate's news truck in Utah on the same day that a liberal with a transgender boyfriend assassinated Charlie Kirk. Ladies and gentlemen, left-wing violence in America is now a full-blown crisis. But the people who might be able to do something about it, leftists themselves, don't believe there is, because they quite literally are living in what amounts to an alternate reality than the rest of us. I posted this list of left-wing terror attacks just since September 1st. Heck, you could just go back 2 weeks. All of these were in the last 2 weeks. Charlie Kirk was assassinated 2 weeks ago today. All 7 of those events happened within the last 2 weeks. This means with 7 incidents of left-wing violence, we are now seeing one on average in this country every 2 days. And it's not as though this is localized to just far left bastions like Portland or Seattle. This is spreading all over the country. But liberals themselves deny this reality. In fact, after I posted this, there were comments by the dozens from left-wingers accusing me of just making this stuff up. Now, you might be able to write this off as just deranged liars trying to cover up for, quote unquote, their side. But I actually think there's something deeper at play. And I've got to give credit to my lovely wife for noticing this a couple of years ago. That because we are so dependent now on algorithms that determine what news we actually see, because the overwhelming majority of people don't get news from listening to or watching a program like this, or watching the network news, or listening to NPR, or picking up a newspaper, or even going to a newspaper's website or other news site. They get almost all of their news through social media. The number one news generation and news consumption site is X. Second is Facebook. Most young people actually get their news, scarily enough, from TikTok. Snapchat is another big one. Every single one of those social media sites is not just presenting you with posts from your followers in a chronological order. That was what Facebook used to do. That was what Twitter used to do. And you can still set your settings so that it does. But content is actually generated for you based on what each site's algorithm determines that you want to see, and more accurately, what will keep you on the site and what will keep you engaged for a longer period of time and consuming the site more. My wife noticed years ago that liberals, and this stemmed from a discussion that she had with a close family friend who she loves very much and who loves my wife very much, but accused my wife of not being a Christian because she didn't care about all of those poor illegals who were just coming to the country because they were fleeing climate change in Central and South America. Worse yet, when my wife dared to suggest that under the Biden administration, when this conversation took place, that the border was clearly not secure, the family friend said, "What are you talking about? Of course the border is secure. The border's not open. We don't have an open border." It didn't matter that my wife could point to that day 10,000 illegals pouring across the border as concrete evidence that, no, the border is not secure. It didn't register to this family friend. And my wife realized, after thinking about this and reflecting on this for quite some time, that it was because this family friend didn't actually know how bad the border crisis was. Think about it this way. To use a more recent example, there are only 10% of Democrats, according to a YouGov poll that was conducted in the days following Charlie Kirk's assassination, that believe Kirk's assassin was a left-winger. Jimmy Kimmel was suspended because he regurgitated, without ever actually thinking about it, what was clearly presented to his social media algorithm. That was left-wing influencers going in overdrive in the days after Kirk was assassinated, trying to convince America and perhaps themselves that Kirk's assassin was a MAGA guy. Even after Jeff Gray, the Utah County District Attorney who is prosecuting Kirk's assassin, made it abundantly clear that the young man was motivated by left-wing politics and, oh, by the way, had a transgender boyfriend, something most MAGA folks do not have, left-wingers still to this day believe that he was motivated by the fact that he didn't believe Charlie Kirk was conservative enough. Even though Gray said it over and over again, liberals simply could not believe it.
Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out.
In spite of that, in spite of the fact that prosecutors actually charged the assassin with a politically motivated hate crime penalty enhancer, meaning that they have to be able to prove that the killer was motivated by political animus. Despite that, despite the concrete objective reality, 33%, 3 times more Democrats believe that the killer is MAGA than believe correctly that he was left-wing and motivated by left-wing violence. This is why, even as the events of today were unfolding, you had spinsters on MSNBC and CNN attempting to convince the public that the killer was left-wing. John Miller is CNN's law enforcement analyst, and he said, you know what? And this was before the FBI's press conference, to be clear. He said, we can't be sure that the guy who shot up an ICE facility with a sniper rifle in what sure looks like a copycat crime from Charlie Kirk's assassination 2 weeks ago today, we can't be sure that he wasn't actually targeting illegal immigrants and was motivated by MAGA-fueled hate.
We don't know whether this was an anti-migrant shooting because of the victimology who was struck, or whether this is an anti-ICE shooting. And the governor's statements about assassination suggest he has some information that we don't have yet, and that may not be entirely clear to authorities.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott came out and said, look, this is another politically motivated attack. This, in fact, is the second politically motivated attack on ICE agents in Texas just since July 4th. On July 4th, Alvarado, Texas, Antifa thugs lured ICE agents out of their facility with firecrackers, with vandalism, and then they shot at them. That was a terror attack. Today, it was a terror attack. But you had CNN, one of the preferred news sources of the left, openly saying, well, we don't know. We think Texas's governor, he's Republican, he's MAGA, he's probably lying about what is objectively true, that this was another terror attack on ICE agents. Over on MSNBC, Natalie Cardenas, she is an illegal immigrant advocate, MSNBC talking head. She said, well, it may have been rhetoric that influenced this killer. It was ICE's rhetoric, the rhetoric of the Trump administration that inspired this gunman.
We have seen death among non-citizens being increased, and the people, the victims here, that the 2 killed were non-citizens being detained at that time. And so it is very difficult. It has been a very decisive environment, and the rhetoric does have to stop. Just yesterday, Homeland Security released a propaganda video on their social website stating or using Nintendo's Pokemon to catch them all and continuing to dehumanize non-citizens.
That's utter insanity. The motive was always self-evident, and the motive was identified very quickly. In fact, the gunman himself, and I'm going to say his name once, he killed himself. He is, or was, 29 years old. His name is Joshua John. He left behind a literal anti-ICE message on his rifle cartridge. He comes from a liberal biracial family in Fairview, Texas. His mother on social media, incredibly critical of the state's gun laws. His sister, named Kyoko is a woke woman who is a supporter of Beto O'Rourke in his many runs for governor and Senate. The 3 people shot at the ICE facility ended up being detainees. 2 of them died. We have someone who was attempting to kill ICE agents to stand up for those migrants and instead killed them because he subscribed to the Democrats' alternate universe, their manufactured reality that is amplified by Democrat politicians, magnified and given a bullhorn by liberal news networks like CNN and MSNBC, and then packaged for public consumption by social media algorithms who are amplifying only what users want to hear, want to see. This is magnifying tenfold, 100-fold the problem of confirmation bias. People like Jimmy Kimmel and the millions of leftists who apparently believe Charlie Kirk's assassin was MAGA, the people who believe today that the guy who shot up the ICE facility was actually a deranged anti-immigrant right-winger, they are falling victim to a coordinated effort to deny reality to a massive amount of people. As a result, this alternate reality is radicalizing an increasing number of far left people who are mentally ill and dangerously prone to violence. They believe that because their political opponents are dangerous authoritarians, because again, they'll never hear people like me. They'll never see anything that contradicts their worldview filtered through their algorithm. They believe that they are actually standing up for justice, that they are fighting against the great evil. That's a very dangerous place to be in America. And that's why I firmly believe that left-wing political terrorism is a growing and very grave threat.
2,400 customers without power in South Carolina.
Newberry, Michigan expected to be without power for 24 hours.
Over 25,000 people without power in Cleveland, Ohio.
These are real headlines from just the last few days. Power outages are happening more often and they're getting worse. If you don't have a backup generator, it's time to get one. But gas generators, they're loud, smelly, and produce dangerous carbon monoxide. The Grid Doctor 3300 solar generator from My Patriot Supply is different. It's whisper quiet, requires no fuel, and it's safe to use indoors. Best of all, My Patriot Supply is offering an incredible deal for listeners of this station. When you go to mypatriotsupply.com and order a Grid Doctor 3300, they'll include a free expansion battery that doubles your backup power at no additional cost. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now and get prepared. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
If you're in the market for new shades or blinds, don't leave it to guesswork online at Bayview Shade and Blind. You can see, touch, and compare products at any of their 3 local galleries in Waukesha, Oconomowoc, or Menominee Falls. Stop in today at Bayview Shade and Blind or visit BayviewShade.com.
The real estate industry insiders know who to call when it's time to sell their home. This is Chris Leby with Lake Country Flat Fee. We've built up a solid track record of helping out our fellow real estate colleagues over the years. Former realtors, mortgage professionals, real estate attorneys. Being in the business, they know our reputation and they're confident we'll deliver them results and savings. Our sellers save about 50% versus a traditional 6% broker. To learn more or to schedule a free market analysis, visit our website at lakecountryflatfee.com.
When you're injured, you want quick, specialized care, not a long ER wait. At Ortho ASAP, our orthopedic care specialists treat fractures, sprains, strains, sports injuries, and more right away. With on-site x-rays and expert care, we get you back on track faster. Open 7 days a week with locations in Brookfield and Pewaukee. It's more affordable than the ER. Walk in, get treated, and get back to life. Ortho ASAP. There is a difference. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
It's one of the hottest topics when it comes to finance and your money. The One Big Beautiful Bill. If you haven't read it, we don't blame you. It's 900 pages with 400 just for tax provisions. Not exactly light reading. You know who has read it? Annex Wealth Management. That's where Instant Insight webinars come in. They're designed to provide clarity for today's hot topics. Get up to speed fast. Check out the full Instant Insight schedule at annexwealth.com/events. Unbiased advice from a fee-only fiduciary. Find out more at annexwealth.com.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach and are trying to hide their identities from the American people will be unsuccessful in doing that. This is America. This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s. And every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified.
That's the leader of Democrats in the House of Representatives promising to dox every single ICE agent who has been forced to hide their faces because they're targets, as today proved. Hakeem Jeffries there a couple of months ago, he actually needed to walk that back a little bit because it was so extreme. It's not just violent assaults against ICE agents, which we've seen with stunning frequency. I believe the latest number is an 800% increase in attacks on ICE agents over just the past couple of years because of the insane rhetoric coming from Democrats just like Jeffries. But it's also the promise to dox or release personal information about these people so that they could potentially be targeted in their homes or their families could be targeted as well. I am Dan O'Donnell. Welcome back. This is your daily tour de force of truth. And sometimes that truth can be incredibly difficult to digest. And right now, the sad truth is that left-wing political violence is the single greatest threat that this country faces. Consider this. In just the past 2 weeks, the most prominent conservative activist in America was assassinated while speaking on a college campus by a deranged leftist with a transgender boyfriend. That same day, also in Utah, 2 men with anti-Trump signs in their yard tried to blow up a Fox News affiliate's truck. A couple of days later, Antifa thugs attacked ICE agents in Chicago as they were conducting operations that Antifa goons opposed. Same thing happened in Portland. This past weekend, a man shouting "Free Palestine" killed a man, injured several other people at a country club in Nashua, New Hampshire. A couple of days after that, a deranged leftist shoots up the ABC affiliate station in Sacramento in protest of what turned out to be the 4-day suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. And today, a sniper shot and injured 1 person, killed 2 others, and then himself while targeting ICE agents at a facility in Dallas. That's just in the past 14 days. Folks, that is an example of left-wing violence every 2 days in America now for the past 2 weeks. If you'd like me to go back even farther to February 24th of last year, an improvised explosive device planted and detonated outside the Alabama Attorney General's office, anti-ICE, anti-police, and anti-fascist stickers placed on nearby government buildings. The perpetrator, identified as a 28-year-old man, was arrested, and it was confirmed that the act was motivated by left-wing and anti-government extremism. March of 2024, Portland, Oregon. Vandalism and arson at a federal courthouse, including graffiti and minor fires during a protest that was linked to Antifa activists. Early May 2024, an arson attack destroyed at least 15 police vehicles in northeastern Portland, and it was claimed by the anti-fascist group Rachel Corrie's Ghost Brigade, which is a left-wing collective named after a radical activist. Of course, everyone knows July 13th, 2024, the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, leaves one man, Corey Comparatori, dead after a sniper opened fire and missed assassinating Trump by just 4 to 5 millimeters. September 15th, nearly 2 months later in West Palm Beach, Florida, President Trump very nearly assassinated again. The attempted assassin, Ryan Ruth, was just convicted yesterday and attempted to stab himself with a pen after the sentence was handed down. He has a long digital footprint of left-wing activism and anti-Trump sentiment. December 4th of last year in New York City, a radicalized leftist assassinates Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, gunning him down in cold blood outside of an investor conference in Manhattan. January of 2025, Capitol Police arrest a radicalized left-winger who is planning to assassinate Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent using a Molotov cocktail. In March of that year, this year, Albuquerque, New Mexico, there was an arson at the New Mexico GOP headquarters. Incendiary devices were used. Graffiti was left behind. No fascists was one of the graffiti messages that was left, and the attack was attributed to Antifa militants. March 10th, Seattle, Washington. The firebombing of a Tesla service center during an anti-corporate protest is linked to left-wing eco-activists and Antifa sympathizers. This was part of a wave of attacks on Tesla facilities, as well as individual Tesla owners who reported vandalism of their cars, Cybertruck owners as well, including verbal and even sometimes physical assaults, all by left-wingers who were protesting, I use air quotes there, Doge cuts by Elon Musk. In fact, one of the hottest sellers on the political left was a bumper sticker that read, "I bought this Tesla before Elon went crazy." April 13th, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, an arson attack on Passover on Jewish Governor Josh Shapiro, a Democrat, by a pro-Palestine activist, motivated by, yes, the left-wing belief that Israel is committing a genocide in the Palestinian territories. The suspect there has a long history of left-wing activism. In May, shooting deaths of 2 Israeli embassy staffers, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, who were set to get engaged to be married. The following week, during a trip to Israel, they were instead killed in cold blood outside of the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. by Elias Rodriguez, who was a liberal leader in the socialist movement in Chicago. He drove all the way from Chicago to Washington in order to kill Jewish people, any Jewish people, it seemed, and he shouted, "Free, free Palestine," as he did so. June 1st, Boulder, Colorado. There was a firebombing at a pro-Israel demonstration using Molotov cocktails and other incendiary devices that was attributed to pro-Palestine anarchists. One elderly person died from burns received in that attack. 13 other people were injured. The FBI is currently investigating the multiple people who were arrested as part of that attack for domestic terrorism. July 4th, Alvarado, Texas. There was an ambush at the Prairieland ICE detention facility where vandals lured officers outside, then fired 20 to 30 rounds from AR-style rifles. 11 members of the Elm Fork John Brown Gun Club, a terrorist Antifa cell, claimed responsibility, leaving behind anti-ICE stickers and graffiti. One officer was shot in the neck but did survive. 7 people were arrested on site, 3 more later. The FBI considers this to be an act of domestic terrorism. Then you get into this month where we are now seeing a leftist violent extremist attack every 2 days. And this is to say nothing of the constant abuse and harassment that ICE agents have faced in Chicago, in Seattle, in Los Angeles, where there were literal anti-ICE riots in April, which I'll admit I forgot to include in my comprehensive list of left-wing radical violence. That was just a good old-fashioned left-wing radical riot. And all the while, there have been near constant attacks on a police training facility known as Cop City in the Atlanta area, which has been a near constant target for Antifa goons who have tried to burn it down and have committed multiple assaults on the facility. All of these attacks are within the last 2 years, all of them committed by left-wingers, and nearly all of them denied by a left that is simply subscribed to a different reality than the rest of us are. In their reality, the greatest threat to America's national sovereignty and security is right-wing extremism, or maybe the president of the United States and his administration. In actual reality, the single greatest threat we face, sadly, is our fellow citizens who have been radicalized to a point that they are dangerous. Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, which really is your best decision after a collision. I've been trusting my vehicles with Mander for years, and I've referred dozens of family members and friends there. All of them say the exact same thing as Mander customer Adam, who left this 5-star review. Your car will be in great hands here. Brian and Crystal took amazing care of my BMW M4. I had dents and scratches from a tree branch falling on my car, and they made sure that the car was taken care of. Everyone at Mander was professional and timely. I hope I don't need their services anytime soon, but if I do, I'll be back. Mander has locations across the greater Milwaukee and Waukesha area, so getting to one is easy and convenient. And starting your repair is just as easy and even more convenient. All you need to do is head online to mandercollision.com.
I'm Dave Brownsdorf, president of Flawless Flooring. It's true, there's nothing quite like the scent of freshly steam-cleaned, worn carpet other than a wet dog or cat's litter box. However, Flawless's customer satisfaction-driven, unprecedented growth pinched the Milwaukee Metro flooring industry to the point major carpet companies are no more. We've added quality carpeting lines, becoming your true one-stop flooring shop. Flawless Flooring's New Berlin and Delafield showrooms feature virtually unheard of in the flooring industry upfront accurate pricing, including installation on every display. Know how much carpet, LVP, or modern laminate flooring you need? You can calculate exact pricing as you shop. Want to expand your existing hardwood flooring? Flawless's employee-only craftsmen strip existing flooring, install new hardwood, then finish old and new together for a perfect, looks all original floor. Lock in purchasing power of today's dollars for money you'll earn up to 21 months from now with Flawless's no money down, zero interest financing. Sensory underload, Flawless Flooring, flawlessflooringllc.com. That's flawlessflooringllc.com.
Bob here from Industry Revolutionizing Redefined Realty. There's no way an antique Milwaukee Badger ale beer bottle would have sold for $21,000 without auction. Only Redefined Realty combines MLS with auction. MLS gets your home found, and just like that beer bottle, auction compels buyers to compete in a bidding war. Buyers see the actual high bid, then outbid each other over and over and over. Redefined Realty's home sellers love standing on the sideline, watching returns on investment increasing. It's cool and fun. Selling your home with total price transparency guarantees you leave closing a winner with the maximum profit possible. Redefine Realty allows buyers to compete with or without an agent. Redefine's winning real estate combo, MLS plus auction, is the only marketing strategy that allows buyers and sellers to both win. Just like the buyers of your home, you're going to love meeting a winner at closing. Visit redefinerealty.com for a free comparable market analysis today and let yourself win. Buyers win, sellers win, let yourself win. Real estate for winners. RedefineRealty.com.
Imagine your home totally organized. At Closets by Design, we specialize in providing affordable, custom-built storage solutions with built-ins and beyond. From walk-in closets to entertainment centers, our experienced designers work within your budget to design a solution fit perfectly to your needs. Get 40% off plus an additional 15% with 18-month financing. Visit closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to get started. Let's get organized together.
We use powerful truck-mounted carpet cleaning units designed to remove even the toughest dirt, and certified cleaning technicians who understand the definition of clean.
Edelman Carpet Furniture and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman. With gold at an all-time high, now is a smart time to turn your unwanted gold, silver, or diamonds into cash. And no one makes it easier than Robert Hack Diamonds. Those old-class rings, broken chains, dental gold, even coins, silver flatware, and tea sets could be worth more than you think. Robert Hack Diamonds will sit down with you, walk through each item, and make you a fair, no-pressure cash offer. Whether you're cleaning out a jewelry box or settling an estate, if in doubt, bring it in. They need your gold to create custom pieces for their customers. So this is a win-win. Trusted by generations and backed by expert appraisers, Robert Hack Diamonds ensures you get top dollar. Stop by Robert Hack Diamonds and see what your forgotten items are really worth. They have a 64-plus year tradition of treating every single client with dignity, fairness, and professionalism. Gold is at an all-time high. The process is simple. The time to cash in is now. Robert Hack Diamonds, 146th and Greenfield Avenue in Brookfield and 76th and Layton in Greenfield.
You know, having a safety plan is essential. God forbid someone breaks into your home, or if you find yourself in a confrontation, don't start with a lethal firearm. No, start less lethal. Start with Byrna, BYRNA.com. This less lethal launcher is the most effective self-defense tool available today without legal, financial, or emotional consequences that may come with using a gun. I carry one. It's part of my personal safety and security plan every day. I recommend all of you, if you're concerned about safety, you should be, have one as well. They have the new compact launcher, the CL. It is the world's smallest, less lethal pistol concealed anywhere. It fires powerful kinetic and tear gas rounds that can stop any perpetrator for up to 40 minutes. And Byrna has protection for every member of the family, from safety alarms to personal defense sprays as well. Check out Byrna, BYRNA.com today and find the right launcher for your family. That's BYRNA.com.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
No talking points, just in-depth analysis and exclusive investigations.
The Dan O'Donnell Show, weekday afternoons 3 to 6 on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Conservative thought, not just talk. Now, I put together a comprehensive list of left-wing terror attacks just in the last 2 weeks. And a lot of people on our talk and text line, the adventknows.com talk and text line, have been asking me, Dan, can you put that in written form so that I can show all my lefty friends? In fact, I did write that down, just kind of some bullet points this morning. You can check it out at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. I think I should probably put down a longer written version of the last 2 years of left-wing terror attacks so that folks can share it, because we really are living in an alternate reality, that left-wingers just do not accept reality as it is. I credit my lovely wife for this. She blames social media algorithms, where even well-meaning liberals, people who just, they love the environment and they just don't want people in Palestine to suffer. They do not see, they just do not see anything that would ever contradict their preconceived ideas and their predetermined worldview. It's known as confirmation bias. And it is a major, major problem when we can now quite literally choose from thousands of different news sources. It's not necessarily just networks and newspapers or even shows and podcasts like this. Anyone and everyone can be a news source. All you need is some sort of social media account and a group of people who will serve as your audience and believe what it is you say. So I did 45 minutes of in-depth argument that the biggest problem we face is left-wing violence. But ladies and gentlemen, I have heard a cogent, well-argued response. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the most intelligent response Dan has heard all day. Now, for those who don't know how this segment works, I get a lot of feedback. I get a lot of responses to things I say, to things I post, to things I write, but only one rises to the level of the most intelligent response that I have heard all day. And because these are usually so high class, because these are usually so intelligent, I feel the need to read them in an accent that conveys just how serious and just how intellectual they are. Ladies and gentlemen, this comes to us from our Facebook Live feed and a charming gentleman by the name of Brendan Francis. He's responding to my nearly 50 straight minutes of demonstrating that left-wing violence is a serious problem. Here is his retort. Shut the bleep up, you clown. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the most intelligent response Dan has heard all day. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back in just 5 minutes.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center.
A little over 10 minutes either side of 4145 between the Zoo and Good Hope. Still got a stall northbound at Appleton. It's off to the left. 43 northbound, only 10 to Brown Deer. Southbound, taking you 20. Slow Good Hope to Hampton, then Locust to the Marquette. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Lynch Automotive family of dealerships.
Drive into the end zone at the Lynch family of dealerships and score 0% financing or $12,000 off select new vehicles in Burlington, Kenosha, McGuanago, and West Bend. Visit shoplynch.com and score today.
You got to get to Built Right today. Dan here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture. Built Right's 97th anniversary mattress celebration is on now. Their one location saves you time and money, and they make it easy to shop and even easier to buy. Built Right beats any big box, national or local chain store, employee-free store, online retailer, or warehouse club because they have the guaranteed lowest prices. Built Right has the best value selection and most experienced team, over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Choose from the very best mattress brands made in the USA: Heirloom, Therapeutic, Restonic, Schiffman, and Gold Bond. Built Right specializes in hard-to-find, flippable, and heavy-duty mattresses. Plus, Built Right offers free delivery and removal on mattress-only purchases of $799 or more. Built Right saves you money, voted best place to shop, and open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan O'Donnell sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
People should be judged for the content of their character, not the straightness of their teeth.
I'm Mila. The gracious, caring staff at Ross Dental makes straight teeth convenient.
Bo, Mila's big brother here. High school social pressure can make students want to be invisible. Ross Dental straight teeth are confidence building.
With Ross Dental straight teeth, you and your children will smile like you just don't care because you don't.
Dr. Ross did imaging and ordered virtually invisible plastic trays that fit over our teeth, shifting them ever so slightly.
Every 5 days or so, we start new trays that shift teeth a little more.
Unlike conventional braces, we can take the trays off to eat and brush our teeth, and they cost less.
A bonus for me is clicking in my jaw stopped.
Dr. Ross is a great dentist, and Dad says Ross Dental is the best deal.
Family dentistry, cosmetic whitening, Ross Dental straight smiles, and full sedation dentistry for anxious patients needing substantial restoration. Our mission, your comfort, health, and confidence. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalWI.com.
Hi, Jerry Bott here for Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac, the place where they matched me with an SUV that I absolutely love. You know what else I love about Holiday? Every team member I met was knowledgeable, friendly, and fully engaged. It's that genuine, friendly professionalism you feel that inspires trust and confidence.
Connect with the road, love what you drive, and where you get it. Shop the SUV season sales event at Holiday in Fond du Lac. Get more Mazda for your money, more for your trade, and score enticing offers like low 3.9% 72-month financing on favorites, including all-wheel drive Mazda CX-50 Hybrid, 2-row Mazda CX-70, and the 3-row Mazda CX-90.
I'm WISN's Jerry Bott. I'm a fan of Holiday. So is this guy.
This is New York running back Braylon Allen, and I drive Holiday. You can count on their genuine guest care and no pressure. It's real.
Find yours and drive it home today from Holiday Mazda Fond du Lac and HolidayMazda.com.
It's worth the trip.
Catch the final battle of the regular season. The Brewers host the Reds Friday, September 26th through Sunday, September 28th. Get in on Fan Appreciation Night and a tumbler giveaway on Saturday the 27th. Close out the regular season with the crew. Get your tickets at Brewers.com.
Do you have a written financial plan? Hi, I'm Aaron Kowal of Kowal Investment Group. We have recently joined Creative Planning, a national registered investment advisor. This move to Creative Planning allows us to provide more comprehensive wealth management services to help with all aspects of your finances, including your investments, taxes, estate plan, and more. If you already have a plan or if you need to start planning, our fiduciary advisors can help. Visit creativeplanning.com to get started. That's creativeplanning.com.
Thank you, WISN listeners, for trusting your car repairs to Engine and Transmission Exchange. ETE has 2 locations with A-plus ratings from the Better Business Bureau. One is on South 27th Street in Milwaukee, the other on West Avenue in Waukesha, and they work on any make or any model. See EngineTrans.com for details. Engine and Transmission Exchange.
For NARI award-winning home renovating.
The talk shows on WISN Radio. Not for the faint of heart and not for the feeble of mind. News Talk 1130 WISN. Fact is, until you've heard us, you haven't heard the whole story.
Former FBI Director James Comey is apparently set to be indicted on charges of lying to Congress. And no doubt this will increase the calls from the left that Trump is an authoritarian fascist. Next thing you know, he will order his Justice Department to arrest, raid, and indict his political opponent. And that, ladies and gentlemen, would be America's final descent into Nazism.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany. Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Now, since the theme of this show is pretty much leftists just not being able to accept reality because they never are presented with reality, I should point out that actually happened, folks. The Biden administration really did raid the home of, arrest, and then indict its political opponent, Donald Trump. But today's unhinged liberals of of the day are all of the liberals who have spent the last 6 months calling ICE agents Nazis, Gestapo, SS agents, forming the motivation for today's assault on ICE agents.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
I called ICE the modern-day Gestapo.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo.
We're seeing aggressive Gestapo-type tactics.
When I see ICE, I see slave patrols.
We have ICE federal agents pulling up, terrorizing our communities, hopping out of unmarked vans, stealing and, yes, kidnapping people.
ICE is a terrorist organization. It needs to be defunded and needs to be abolished.
Every one of those Democrats saying insanely incendiary, awful things, saying essentially the exact same thing that today's gunmen believed. You're unhinged liberals of the day.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Listen to Benjamin Yount, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee. And make WISN the #1 preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Michaels. Police in Pewaukee arrested a 51-year-old man last night after they say he fired shots in the area of Wisconsin Avenue and Marshall Street. No injuries were reported. The trial in Waukesha continued today for the woman accused of abusing several children at a daycare center. Heather Miller is charged with child abuse as well as second-degree recklessly endangering safety. Here's Fox 6's Brett Lemoyne.
3 years ago, Waukesha police conducted a search at the Lawrence School. It came after parents took their child to Children's Wisconsin. They said the child was, quote, lethargic, fussy, and unwell after daycare. Police say Miller set up mattresses to block cameras and slammed a 1-year-old boy face down into a crib.
The trial is expected to wrap up by Friday, and people at Milwaukee's next street takeover could see a $1,000 fine. Alderman Alex Brower.
It's at minimum annoying and at maximum a complete threat to people's peace and quiet and their safety.
Milwaukee police have responded to over 200 street takeovers this year, including as many as 15 over Labor Day weekend. No one, however, said how those fines would be enforced. Checking the Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard, Packers right tackle Zach Tom not expected to play Sunday night against the Cowboys after re-injuring his oblique against the Browns this past Sunday. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
It's always hard to simulate what you're going to face in a game, and I think he just, and I mean, you have to ask him, but I just think that the force of the guy that he's going against, it hurt him, so he didn't feel like he could go.
From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Dave Michaels on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast presented by AdventKnows.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
A few clouds expected tonight and a chance for fog with lows in the mid to upper 50s. Mostly sunny on Thursday with temperatures in the low 70s. Then expect a long stretch of sunshine and temperatures well into the 70s through the weekend. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
According to the Department of Energy, power outages could increase 10,000% over the next few years. American families are left in the dark for hours, days, or longer. Extended outages like that aren't just inconvenient, they're deadly. That's why My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted preparedness company, created the Grid Doctor 3300, a solar-powered backup generator. It delivers 3,300 watts of power, enough to run almost anything in your home. It's portable, whisper quiet, and safe to use indoors. And right now, when you order a Grid Doctor 3300 at mypatriotsupply.com, you'll get a free expansion battery, which doubles your power capacity absolutely free. Get peace of mind before the next outage hits your home and save over $1,200. But this is a limited time offer. So to get your solar generator and free expansion battery, go to mypatriotsupply.com today. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
You know when that big online store has special days with ridiculously low prices?
Yeah?
Why doesn't Hasselus Mattress do that?
We do.
You do? When?
Every day.
Okay, good one. But really, when are the big discounts?
Like I said, every day. You know our showrooms are employee free.
So I can give your mattresses a try.
With no pushy sales guy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that allows us to sell Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more for way less.
Give me numbers.
Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands, $93. Free next day delivery too.
And you do this every day?
Yeah. Plus, through Monday, get a free box spring with every Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more, or take an equal amount off an adjustable base.
Wow.
So I guess you could say now is a prime time to buy.
I see what you did there.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasselus.com.
You've held on to that old jewelry for years. Maybe it was a class ring, a broken chain, or a silver flatware from your parents' home. It meant something once, and it still does. But now it could mean something new. A chance to turn those tucked away treasures into real value at Robert Hack Diamonds. With gold at an all-time high, there's never been a better time to bring in your unwanted gold, silver, or diamonds. At Robert Hack Diamonds, you'll sit down one-on-one in a relaxed, respectful setting. They'll walk you through your items carefully, from coins and jewelry to sterling tea sets and even dental gold, and make you a fair, honest cash offer. No pressure, just real people who understand that sometimes it's more than metal, it's memories. If in doubt, bring it in. You might be surprised at what it's worth. 64-plus year tradition of treating every single client with dignity, fairness, and professionalism. It's not just about gold, it's about trust. Robert Hack Diamonds, 146th and Greenfield Avenue in Brookfield and 76th and Layton in Greenfield.
When you breathe well, you live better. Find out more at adventknows.com.
Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Hour number 2 of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome to it. It is conservative thought, not just talk. If you would like to join us at any point, look, we always welcome debate. We always welcome phone calls. We always want your texts. That's why we keep the phone lines open every single minute of every single show. 414-799-1130 is our adventknows.com talk and text line. You can email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. Follow us on social media, where you can also watch the show streaming live via our DanoCam at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. Check out the show streaming on YouTube. And please do subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeart Radio. Coming up this hour, we will dive into the report from Ken Delanian of NBC News that James Comey, the former FBI director, is going to be indicted for lying to Congress. We also are hearing word that a grand jury is potentially going to indict Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, on potential charges of mortgage fraud. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we will continue on this theme of leftists just refusing to accept reality, primarily because they're not presented with reality in any of the news sources that they consume, and certainly not in any of the algorithmic-driven news content that they see on their social media feeds. We're going to get into the Trump v. Tylenol war, which took a remarkable turn today when an old tweet, not by Trump, but by Tylenol, was unearthed. Before we get to any of that, though, it is time now for the Daily Trump Day.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Trump just keeps winning.
It is a win for the administration.
It's also a big win for the United States.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Vice President J.D. Vance today, in the hours after the ICE attack at that facility in Dallas, took no prisoners in his excoriation of the vile, hateful, and violent anti-ICE rhetoric of elected Democrats.
The very people who keep us safe ought to be honored and protected and praised by Democrats and Republicans alike. It is time to stop the rhetorical assault on law enforcement. Because here's what happens. Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration policies. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump's immigration policies. But if your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to hell, and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
Now, what political rhetoric is he talking about? Which Democrats was he talking about spreading that rhetoric? Well, pretty much all of them. Should we go back to Tim Walz at a graduation speech, no less, this past May?
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense. Not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye. Just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and disappeared.
How about Delia Ramirez, a Democrat from Illinois, member of the House of Representatives, asked, how do we stop the terrorism of ICE? She said, well, you've got to defund it because ICE is itself a terror organization.
You have called to abolish ICE. How do we achieve a future that's post-ICE?
How do we achieve a future free of terrorism? By abolishing ICE. ICE is a terrorist organization. It needs to be defunded and needs to be abolished.
How about Jasmine Crockett, Democrat Congresswoman from Texas, the state where there was a second anti-ICE attack in 3 months today, equating ICE with slave patrols.
But as somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols. Now, I never lived through the slave patrol period, but if you know the history of policing in this country, then you understand that they were born out of slave patrols.
That's not even close to accurate. How about Illinois' governor, J.B. Pritzker, saying that ICE is making the United States much more like Nazi Germany?
How do you prove to somebody that you're a U.S. citizen? Your accent? The color of your skin? That's not the country we live in. You know, you shouldn't have to walk around with papers the way that they did in the early days of Nazi Germany to prove that you belong and that you're not one of them. And that is essentially the kind of country that we're becoming if you allow ICE to simply grab people after racial profiling.
Then there's Connecticut Congressman John Larson, who at a recent rally just kind of started screaming about ICE agents being like the SS.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourselves.
What rhetoric is Vice President J.D. Vance talking about? All of it. All of that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your daily look back at what's been going on at the Trump White House. We call it the Daily Trump Day. Now, I said James Comey is potentially going to be indicted for lying to Congress, although it's very difficult to ascertain what lies he might be indicted for telling. He told so many of them, most notably that Russia engaged in a massive coordinated attack on the 2016 presidential election, all in an effort to get Donald Trump elected. He said that under oath. Or how about this exchange with Lindsey Graham several years back when he insisted, no, the 2016 Donald Trump campaign was absolutely not spied on.
Testimony of March 20th that there was no spider. Do you stand by your House testimony of March 20th that there was no surveillance of the Trump campaign that you're aware of?
Correct.
You would know about it if there were, is that correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Well, either he didn't know about it, which he obviously did, or he was lying under oath. This idea that somehow this is evidence of Trump being an authoritarian dictator and going on a revenge tour, trying to get back at everybody who was going after him, presupposes that whoever it is that hears this message, that this is completely without merit, that Trump is a vengeful dictator, doesn't remember the last 4 years of authoritarian moves by the Biden administration. Just go back 2 years. Go back 1 year. Trump himself was on trial. Now, you might say, and again, if you are consuming nothing but left-wing news content, you might even believe with all your little heart that Donald Trump was prosecuted for valid crimes committed against the state of New York, 34 of them. Remember, that had nothing to do with the Biden administration, or did it? The case against Donald Trump was actually known as the zombie case because of how many times it had been resurrected by Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan district attorney, as well as his predecessor, Cyrus Vance. The case was finally brought back to life when the number 3 official in the Biden Justice Department suddenly resigned just a couple of weeks after Trump announced in 2022 that he was going to run for the presidency again. He resigned to take a significant demotion as a line prosecutor who just happened to be prosecuting white-collar crimes in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Guess who was the lead prosecutor on New York v. Trump? Exactly. This was designed by the Biden administration, who got their man in position to prosecute Trump, to assure the administration that Trump would not be able to run for president again in 2024, but he would be behind bars. In fact, according to Jake Tapper's book, Biden, who obviously was not fit to run for president again, was not fit to be president, only ran again because he was convinced that Trump was going to be in prison and not able to run. After that New York case was filed, there was also a case filed in Georgia by Fani Willis, the district attorney in Fulton County, who happened to hire her lover as a special prosecutor, special investigator. Said lover had 24 hours worth of phone calls that he billed to Fulton County with the Biden White House. The Biden Department of Justice also brought 2 different criminal cases against President Trump, both of which were dropped as soon as Trump won the presidency, thereby revealing their obvious political nature. One of those cases was for concealing classified documents, pretending as though Trump didn't have the authority to declassify any documents he wished, and pretending that they were being mishandled by Trump in a secure facility at Mar-a-Lago. Moreover, this criminalized a statute that was not criminal in nature, the Presidential Records Act, which President Trump was operating under. At no point in history had a former president ever been charged with any crime, let alone the crime of mishandling classified information. President Trump was also charged by the Biden Justice Department with interfering in the 2020 presidential election by asking for investigations into it. Meanwhile, it is well within a president's authority as chief executive, as the top law enforcement official in the country, to ask for investigations. In fact, the United States Supreme Court even had to weigh in and say it is not constitutional to criminalize something that is within the core functions of the presidency. In other words, you can't criminalize a president doing his job. Lying under Congress has always been and will always be a crime. It's not Trump criminalizing that. It's not Trump indicting James Comey. It is a grand jury convened for the purposes of determining whether the evidence suggests and is powerful and convincing enough that a reasonable jury would be able to convince James Comey or convict James Comey of lying to Congress. I played you one soundbite. I've probably got 25 more that I could get during the next commercial break of James Comey lying to Congress. When it comes to Letitia James, whose civil case against Trump was so obviously politically motivated that even a New York court dropped the damage award paid by the Trump administration down to zero, and one judge in the dissent wanted to throw out the verdict altogether. This was not a criminal case, but it was a civil case because it was so obviously motivated by politics. This was the fraud case in which the prosecutor, James, had such a novel interpretation of what fraud is that she couldn't name a single victim of fraud. Every bank that loaned Trump money, every business partner that ever invested with the Trump organization was paid in full. She interpreted New York's fraud statute to include a clause in which the victim of fraud can be generally the people of New York. Never before had that statute been interpreted in that way, and never before had that sort of prosecution, that sort of civil case ever been brought, except by Letitia James. Now, James, obviously, when she was running for attorney general and running on a promise to go get Trump, to prosecute Trump, to, in her words, get his ass, or excuse me, be a real pain in his ass. We actually put together a montage that we've been playing for years of all of the time she said on the campaign trail that if you elect me, I will go after Donald Trump. Well, when she did, and when she was elected, she rather obviously was living in New York, right? Well, why did she put on her mortgage application that her primary residence was outside of the state? It is not lawful for someone who lives outside of New York to run for or serve as Attorney General of the state of New York. She also listed her father as her spouse on that mortgage document. She also falsely listed the number of bedrooms on her condo in New York City, also to get a more favorable mortgage. This is fraud. There is no way to spin it. If the allegations of what it was that Letitia James did are proven, she is guilty of mortgage fraud. It's about as open and shut a case as there is. There's no room for interpretation. There's no novel reimagining of what mortgage fraud statutes should say or do say. There is no precedent-busting prosecution here in which she is being prosecuted for something that is within the realm of her duties as Attorney General of the state of New York. In other words, these are not politically motivated prosecutions. These are enforcements of the law that otherwise would not have been enforced, because people like James Comey and Letitia James always believe themselves to belong to a protected political class where whatever they do, legal or not, would be excused and even justified by their political allies. In other words, we for years in this country operated under a two-tiered system of justice in which one side always believed that no matter what they did, no matter how egregious or criminal their conduct, because of their allies in prosecutors' offices and sitting on the bench, protection would always flow to them. No longer. Now, we don't have confirmation just yet that a grand jury has in fact indicted Comey or that another federal prosecution of Tish James is in the offing or forthcoming. But I'm just warning you folks that the narrative that is going to be spun, the reality that is going to be created for the political left is that these are political prosecutions, that these are witch hunts, that these are Donald Trump smiting his enemies and consolidating his power, much like Hitler did after the Reichstag fire in the early 1930s. They are, in fact, anything but. And be sure to stay here for the truth and the busting of all liberal narratives.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Southbound on 894, slow in pockets from the zoo down to the Hale interchange. Eastbound is delay-free. Got westbound delays a little bit around 60th and heavier between Forest Home and the Hale interchange. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's knows how to get you ready for holiday hosting for less. Refresh your home before guests arrive with up to 35% off select home decor and more. Valid through 10/1. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Hi, I'm Willa Voss. I'm 8 years old. Mom and Dad own Cut and Go Tree Service. Yes, they did name me after a tree. Our family loves this country and the freedom it provides. Every morning, I look forward to starting the school day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please say it along with me, even if you just say it in your mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. American patriots will enjoy a 5% discount for flying the American flag and mentioning this commercial when the Cut and Go remote control, automobile mounted, articulated crane, grapple saw operators are putting your dead trees on the ground or removing large branches that grew over something important. An all-American Tons of Trees movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CutandGoTrees.com.
Whether you're on a commercial job site or tackling residential projects, support yourself and your crew with the AFS Advantage. AFS Advanced Fastening Supply is locally owned with a complete inventory of all the major brands of tools, fasteners, and safety equipment to make sure your job is done right and on time for all your projects throughout the year. Experience the AFS Advantage today. Advanced Fastening Supply on Doral Road in Waukesha or advancedfasteningsupply.com.
For superior carpet cleaning, hire a company with over 75 years of experience that will get the job done right the first time. Always clean, always on time. Edelman.
Edelman Carpet, Furniture, and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
If you're in the market for new shades or blinds, don't leave it to guesswork online at Bayview Shade and Blind. You can see, touch, and compare products at any of their 3 local galleries in Waukesha, Oconomowoc, or Menominee Falls. Stop in today at Bayview Shade and Blind or visit BayviewShade.com.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules. Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
When I said I could find like 5 clips of James Comey lying in front of Congress in a matter of 3 minutes, I meant it. That's the length of our commercial break. Here's one. Him saying absolutely he has seen the intelligence that there is no doubt Russia was engaged in a rigging of our election.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community. And the members of this committee have seen the intelligence. It's not a close call.
Turns out it was a close call, as there was a special prosecutor who was hired to investigate whether or not there was any Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election, and he found there was not. The Russian interference, I should say, there was Russian interference, but it was not as Comey blatantly lied. And in fact, we have evidence from one of his top deputies, one of the guys. Do you remember the 2 FBI lovers? The, what was it? His name, the smirking guy, Lisa Page and whatever. Peter Strzok. He was the lead investigator on the Russia collusion investigation. He was actually caught texting his lover, Lisa Page, the FBI attorney. And everybody focused on the insurance policy and him saying, she's saying, what if he actually wins? This was October of 2016. Oh my gosh. He said, don't worry, we won't let that happen. We've got an insurance policy. He was talking about the Russia collusion hoax to ensure that doesn't happen. Everybody was focused on that. I myself, as the Russia investigation unfolded, was focused on another text that he sent. Page asked him, hey, are you going to join this special prosecutor investigation? Are you going to join the special counsel's group of investigators looking into Russia collusion? He said, no, I don't think so. I just don't believe there's any there. He was the guy who was looking into Russia collusion for the FBI for months at that point. It was therefore well known within the FBI that there was no widespread effort at the top of the Kremlin to interfere with the election to get Donald Trump installed as some sort of Manchurian candidate. He knew it. Comey knew it. They all knew it. The only thing the Russians did was, rather hilariously, buy Facebook ads promoting events, including one big rally in New York that was actually organized by Russians. It was an anti-Trump rally the first weekend after the 2016 presidential election. Nobody ever will tell you about that because it's so embarrassing for their side. The Russians, in other words, were doing what foreign governments always do. They're trying to sow the seeds of discord in America or in hostile nations, but there wasn't a coordinated, well-oiled machine that was trying to get Donald Trump elected. In fact, there's a whole lot of evidence that would suggest that they had dirt on Hillary Clinton, but didn't release it during the campaign because they, like the rest of the world, just assumed that Hillary Clinton was going to win in a cakewalk over Trump, and they were going to instead save their compromat for when Hillary was president. Nobody actually expected Donald Trump to win that election. You might recall that on the day of the election 2016, Hillary Clinton had something like a 99% chance of winning. James Comey is an inveterate liar. And you want to talk about the violent rhetoric that has just radicalized the left. Do you remember him coming upon that beautiful array of seashells on a hike? He was walking on the beach and he just happened to find shells arranged in 86-47, meaning get rid of the 47th president, Donald Trump. That was widely seen as, if not an overt threat on Trump's life, certainly an acceptance that this is acceptable rhetoric. Yes, I would love to see Trump 86th. Well, what exactly does that mean, Jim? Because when I say 86 that order, right? That's sort of shorthand for kill that order. Is that what he's saying about President Trump? Speaking of unhinged, the first public comment that Bill Barryian made about his transgender porn star Medium controversy is an expletive-filled tirade against a Waukesha school board member. This all is a sentence I never thought I would utter on the Dan O'Donnell Show, but we will investigate. Coming up next.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.
Eastbound on 94 going to be heavy from the Zoo interchange to past the Stadium interchange. You got westbound delay starting at 16th, clearing up west of Hawley. It's taking you 20 minutes in either direction between Moreland and the Marquette. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places to take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/credit card.
The only agent I trust here in Milwaukee is Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Hey, Sean Hannity here. You know, I've bought and sold real estate around our great country for many, many years now. I have learned that you get the most money selling your home when you work with a trusted local real estate agent who has a proven track record. Justin spends thousands of dollars every month to attract thousands of buyers. We have all driven around our neighborhoods. We see for sale signs in people's yards. You see them there for months on end. If you don't want to be that neighbor, well, get your home sold fast and for more money. Now, don't take one of those quick cash offers from an out-of-town company. You will lose thousands in fees and equity. Get a local expert who can advise you, get eyes on your home, and who wants to help you get the most out of your largest investment. Just go to wihomeeval.com. That's wihomeeval.com. Or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 700 five-star reviews. And then you can start packing.
You've held on to that old jewelry for years. Maybe it was a class ring, a broken chain, or a silver flatware from your parents' home. It meant something once, and it still does. But now it could mean something new. A chance to turn those tucked away treasures into real value at Robert Hack Diamonds. With gold at an all-time high, there's never been a better time to bring in your unwanted gold, silver, or diamonds. At Robert Hack Diamonds, you'll sit down one-on-one in a relaxed, respectful setting. They'll walk you through your items carefully, from coins and jewelry to sterling tea sets and even dental gold, and make you a fair, honest cash offer. No pressure, just real people who understand that sometimes it's more than metal, it's memories. If in doubt, bring it in. You might be surprised at what it's worth. 64 plus year tradition of treating every single client with dignity, fairness, and professionalism. It's not just about gold, it's about trust. Robert Hack Diamonds, 146th and Greenfield Avenue in Brookfield and 76th and Layton in Greenfield.
Dan O'Donnell here. It is This Week with Annex Wealth Management. I am joined, as I am every week, by the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And Dave, we finally at long last have our interest rate cut from the Fed. So I guess the question is, now what?
Yeah, exactly. So we have the change in policy, and the change in policy is now rate cuts. We expect some more probably as soon as next month as well. So you see all of these fiscal changes. We know about the Fed changing policy, probably going to see a couple of more cuts. We know about all the tariff revenue coming in and the new tax bill. So you think the market would celebrate, and it really has, especially as we go into the last quarter of the year. Year end is generally a good time of the year, but you have to offset that, Dan, with all the stuff on the other side of the ledger, and that is a potential U.S. government shutdown. That is in front of us. We'll see where this is going to go. You see that Russia is really tempting those NATO lines, as well as the policy that's in front of us. What does it do? It's, let's just call it fluent. The policy is changing pretty often, but the market is reacting. The Dow over 46,000 right now and continuing to head north, at least for the moment. Dan, this is the reason why people have all of these changes in their portfolios. They have to make sure it is lined up with what is reality, your tax plan, your estate plan, your financial plan, and of course, your investment plan.
We've got our rate cut, but admittedly, we don't exactly know what's coming next. Possibly more rate cuts, probably. We're not entirely sure, and that's kind of the thing. The world is full of uncertainty, the financial world even more so, and that's why you need to know what you own and why you own it. Head to annexwealth.com. For Dave Spano, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Here's the tale of the daily Medfield. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings Wrangler rode in. Cool as can be. Have good RX. Saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. Deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
WISN. Big taxers, big spenders, political cronies, global warming alarmists, charlatans, liars, scam artists, and feeders at the public trough. The threats to your happiness are many, but that's where we can help. News Talk 1130 WISN. Our truth shall keep you free.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. An expletive-laden tirade by a gubernatorial candidate enmeshed in a transgender porn star scandal. I did not think this would be what I was covering this week, but alas, here we are. That coming up in just a second. But first, our European getaway to Prague this coming April is on sale right now. And folks, I could not possibly be more excited about this one. Prague is really one of the greatest cities in Europe. Medieval, old European charm meets the modern bohemian hustle and bustle of one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the entire world. But don't let that fool you. One of the big secrets about the Czech people, and Prague in particular, is that it is remarkably conservative. In fact, you might remember in the days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was a big tribute in lights to him in the city. On Thursday, April 16th, we are going to be taking an overnight flight out of Chicago. We arrive in Prague on Friday the 17th. We will admire the colorful Baroque buildings, iconic bridges as we drive through what can only be described as a storybook setting. We'll get arrived at our hotel and settled in before we take an incredible tour of the city. Then we'll have a welcome cocktail party at the hotel. From there, on Saturday the 18th, it's a guided walking tour through Prague's historic center, led by a knowledgeable local guide. The city is a rich tapestry of Gothic, Baroque, and Renaissance architecture, just teeming with history. And one of the greatest sights in the entire country is the astronomical clock in the old town square. It doesn't just tell time, it's an intricate masterpiece that also tracks the movement of the sun and the moon, and hourly has an incredible display that features zodiac signs as well as biblical scenes. The 12 apostles will come walking out. From there, we will gather with all of our fellow travelers for authentic Czech cuisine in a warm and inviting setting. On Sunday, April 19th, we journey to Český Krumlov, which is a medieval town nestled along the banks of the Vltava River. It's an enchanting village famed for its remarkably well-preserved medieval architecture, streets, and the impressive Český Krumlov castle that majestically overlooks the town. You'll feel as though you've been transported instantly back to the 15th century, as the town has been virtually unchanged since then in 500 years. That's why it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Then finally, on Monday, April 20th, we'll step into the pages of history yet again and visit the Prague Castle, the largest ancient castle complex in the entire world that dates back to the 900s. We'll tour centuries of Bohemian history, wandering along the enchanting Golden Lane, a picturesque cobbled street lined with tiny, colorful houses that once housed the castle guards, goldsmiths, and even the famed writer Franz Kafka lived there. We then conclude our tour with Mala Strana, lesser town, the charming squares, the old world elegance, meet Prague's modern vibrancy. And then finally, we'll head back to a castle for dinner together, including an authentic Czech festival. Music, dancing, storytelling. It's a fitting and memorable finale to our time in a truly magical city. Now, it's a very short trip, 6 days, which means it's very doable. A whole lot is included, and the value on this trip is going to be spectacular. What you need to do right now, because spots are filling up very quickly, folks. I can tell you that because it's a shorter trip. We don't have the capacity that we do on these big annual cruises that we do. You're going to want to head to cruise-tour.com or call a cruise and tour representative who is standing by right now, 800-383-3131. Once again, that is 800-383-3131. Hopefully, we will see you in Prague this April. Bill Barryian is having quite possibly the worst week of any political candidate in recent memory. On Monday, it was reported by Dan Bice of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that Barryian was following a transgender porn star on the blog site medium.com, as well as a number of other risque authors who have articles that Barryian apparently found interesting about such things as wife swapping, swinging, and pegging. I'm not going to get into what that actually means. Barryian was asked for comment about this by pretty much everybody. Apparently, his people told the Regular Joe show up in Green Bay that he was in consultant meetings all day after the Bice story hit, and he was unavailable for comment. I would have thought, since Bill has been on this show a number of times before, that I would get hit up by his campaign, say, hey, can he come on and explain himself? And I will make the offer. I mean, everybody should feel welcome to come on. I know I was making fun of him quite a bit yesterday. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. The story is inherently hilarious. Bill apparently does not find it funny. His very first public comment about this controversy did not come on the Regular Joe show or the Dan O'Donnell show. It came on X, where he tweeted at a Waukesha school board member who is also very active in Republican Party politics. He's also a great friend of the Dan O'Donnell show. I find him to be hilarious. His name is Eric Brooks. He goes by the handle @eBrooksUncut on X. Follow him. The man is quite simply hysterical. And like me, he's been having a field day with the Bill Barryian story. He's just making joke after joke after joke about it. On Barryian's official campaign Twitter account, or X account, @BillBarryianWI, he posted and then within 60 seconds deleted the following tweet @Eric Brooks. Bleep you @eBrooksUncut. You're bleep hole. That's his first public comment about this. Apparently not happy. Now, I don't know if this was Barryian himself or a campaign staffer. Regularly, a number of people will have access to the campaign account, right? He's not the only guy. I don't know if it was Barryian, but this was a quickly deleted tweet from the Bill Barryian campaign. Yes, and Eric Brooks, as my producer Eric just pointed out, not Eric Brooks, Eric Paulson, my producer, pointed out, Brooks is so proud of this. He has the deleted tweet as his header photo behind his profile picture. Bleep you, eBrooksUncut. You're a bleep hole. Not how I would have recommended addressing this controversy, but hey, I guess to each his own. Yesterday, in a big exclusive on the Dan O'Donnell Show, Congressman Tom Tiffany announced that he is entering the race. If the transgender porn star controversy, which is now an international story, folks, the UK Daily Mail has picked up on this. And one of Brooks's best tweets about this is that, hey, Barryian, it's MAIL, not Daily MALE, which you apparently might be into. So I can see why Barryian or one of his staffers snapped at Brooks. I mean, admittedly, he's been going at Barryian pretty hard. Not that way, because Bill, again, might like that if Eric were to go at him really hard. Okay, I promised myself I wasn't going to make any Bill Barryian porno medium post jokes today. When we come back, we are going to name the unsung hero of the day. Look, with Tiffany in the race, I just don't see how Barryian continues. If it wasn't apparent before, it's apparent now. He probably should drop out.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Crews in West Dallas with a crash in the westbound lanes of Greenfield at 115th. The left lane is blocked there as a result. Southbound 43 jammed in pockets from Keefe down to the Marquette, onto 4394 down to the KK River. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Harlem Globetrotters. This isn't just a game. It's a once-in-a-generation event. The Harlem Globetrotters 100-year tour. Come be a part of a legacy that never stops. Be there when history is made. The Harlem Globetrotters 100-year tour. Get your tickets today at harlemglobetrotters.com.
Dan O'Donnell here for my good friends at Mander Collision and Glass, the only place I've trusted my vehicles with for years now. Their customer service is impeccable and their workmanship is so good, they guarantee it for life. But don't just take my word for it. Here's a 5-star review from Alana. Mander was amazing. From Noel at the front desk to Nikki, who helped coordinate my insurance and repairs, I could not have had a better experience. My 2021 Subaru Forester looks brand new. I honestly don't think I've had this great of a customer service experience in my life. I'll refer anyone and everyone to Mander if they ever find themselves in a bind. Thank you so much. No, thank you, Alana, for helping me spread the word about just how great Mander is. Wherever you are in the greater Milwaukee and Waukesha area, there's a service center near you. So start your repair now at mandercollision.com.
What's better than cheering for the Packers with an ice-cold beer in your hand? Cheering for the Packers with an ice-cold beer in your hand that you got for 10% off. And when you get Packers checking from Associated Bank, you get even more. Like 10% off food and 10% off drinks on game day. Like that ice-cold beer in your hand. Plus 15% off Pro Shop gear. Only with Packers checking. Associated Bank. Bank of the Packers. Learn more at associatedbank.com/Packers. Member FDIC.
We're the Libby family.
At Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center near State Fair on 62nd and Greenfield.
For over 41 years, we've helped Wisconsin folks create beautiful, affordable, and durable bathrooms.
You'll get our expert guidance and long-lasting quality products.
And nobody beats our prices.
I did it myself at Do-It-Yourself.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own AccuNet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at accunet.com.
Extremely friendly and personable staff, great experience all around. That's from Colin, who knows the secret to great no-hassle auto repair, engine and transmission exchange. What a gift to southeastern Wisconsin. With today's high-tech vehicles especially, just about everyone wonders, am I being treated fairly? I don't know anything about cars. Well, I and hundreds of WISN listeners over the years can tell you, you will be if you take your vehicle to Engine and Transmission Exchange. They have 2 locations, on West Avenue in Waukesha or on South 27th in Milwaukee. ETE is a place you can absolutely trust. They'll give you an honest diagnosis and a quality repair. Kenneth says they did a complicated engine job for him at a fair price, then says they also saw my Navy cap and immediately gave me a military discount. Awesome. He says I live in Germantown and would gladly come back to Waukesha for service here. Engine and Transmission Exchange has ASE certified technicians in every field of auto repair, and they work on every make and every model. See enginetrans.com for details. Enginetrans.com. It's Engine and Transmission Exchange.
Bob from Redefine Realty with a riddle for you. Guess correctly before I give the answer, and you are a winner. Only agents from one real estate company already know the answer. Ready? Pay attention. Here goes. I'm a contest between 4 or 5, even 10 people that only ends when one absolute winner is declared, yet I have 2 winners. What am I? You got it? Are you a winner? Need more time? No, it's not the record at auction sale price of $2 million for a Wu-Tang Clan vinyl record. That's an impressive guess, though. Selling a home? Only Redefine Realty's proprietary method guarantees buyers get every opportunity to pay you maximum dollar and that you will leave closing with maximum profit. One more time. I'm a contest between 4 or 5, even 10 people that only ends when one absolute winner is declared, yet I have 2 winners. What am I? The answer is a Redefined Realty MLS home sale boosted by Easy Home Bidder Auction. Buyers win, sellers win. Let yourself win. Real estate for winners. RedefinedRealty.com.
Your home cleaning friend. It's Edelman again. Edelman.
You love her twice as much today as the day you married her, right?
Welcome to Kessler's.
Smart speakers get a whole lot smarter when they're playing News Talk 1130 WISN. Just ask Alexa or Siri to play WISN Radio and bask in the glow of insight and enlightenment. News that's factual, fair, and balanced from people you can trust on News Talk 1130 WISN.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have to read this text that came into our adventknows.com talk and text line. I want to stress that this is a listener disagreeing with me about how Bill Barryian needs to drop out of this race. He says, Dan, I disagree with Tom getting in the race that Bill will drop out. Tom getting in the race makes this a 3-way primary. And we all know how Bill Barryian feels about 3-ways. Come on! Come on! That was not Dan O'Donnell. I do not make such immature jokes. All right. We also had one. Dan, I guess word has gotten out. We are starting the next contesting round on Monday. It's the Fall Fortune Cash Contest, and it is going to be a texting contest or internet contest. I don't even know. I got another text. from our adventknows.com talk and text line. This one says, Dan, when you do the Fall Fortune Cash Contest, can you say, text-in word for this hour is bills, B-I-L-L-S, bills, as in bills into some real kinky stuff on the internet. Come on, folks. Folks, I promised that I would not do Bill Barryian might be a secret perf on the internet jokes. I promised I would not do it. You are making my job so hard. Just like Bill Barryian. No. I am not. This hour is almost over. I'm going to get out of this without getting shut down by the FCC. I promise. Hey, coming up next hour, coming up now, I wanted to do the unsung hero of the day. We apparently don't have the theme music. I'm just going to say real quick, we don't need the theme. This one's going to be a little personal, folks. The unsung heroes of the day are all those of you. We have debuted a new graphics package, a new background, and most importantly, a new camera setup where I actually have a teleprompter. I don't read a script, but I can see all of my notes while looking into the camera. And all those of you who have helped with how the show sounds, how it looks, especially, I've got to give a shout out to a couple of former co-workers who have just really helped out. Pat Miller and Jim Gillis, who I both worked with a long time ago and are just incredible guys, have really helped out. Pat was the one who suggested this new camera that I purchased. It's just been revolutionary. And Jim has just been helping with so much checking in on the audio. Folks, you guys are my unsung heroes of the day because I'm just so happy with how the show looks, how I'm able to just look straight into the camera. I do have to do a little bit more maintenance, folks. So coming up next hour, I'm going to have to end the stream a little bit early because I've got to tweak some stuff. Coming up next, another example of how liberals just do not accept reality as it is, and that is in the great Tylenol controversy that President Trump most certainly did not start with his press conference this week. Also, we will dive into the Jimmy Kimmel suspension coming to an end. Stay tuned. The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming back before you know it.